You're listening to Thursday Night AMP on the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
AngryMarks.com pro wrestling and mixed martial arts podcast. It is a three-man crew tonight, but the lineup has changed just a little bit because our friend Taichi William Huckabee, the AIWF heavyweight champion, is off tonight because he's working a show for IWA Mid-South Wrestling. So, we have a new lineup tonight. Joining us, first man up on the mic, is the one and only John Harder.
Stevie J, it has been quite a while, my friend. I've been in hiding, I guess, in the world of pro wrestling. But I'm happy to be back here. You are one of my favorite people, especially as it comes to not only wrestling podcasting, but wrestling in general. You've been great to me over the years, and I'm happy to be back helping you out and then being part of Angry Marks podcast for the first time in a long time.
It's been too long, and you're absolutely right about that. But if you were in hiding for a while, you definitely caught a wave coming back in.
Oh, absolutely. An Operation New Wave on that, Stevie J. But that we'll get into that in a little bit. But I'm just happy to be back and to be doing some of this stuff with you tonight. Again, far too long, and you've been a big help to me. So I'm ready to rock and roll.
It's been my pleasure, John, and thanks for joining us tonight. Also with us on the line, the one and only Jason Harland, a.k.a. Great Sudoku.
I am going to start off the show by doing something that I very rarely, if ever, do. I'm going to give praise to the WWE because they are doing something awesome in inducting Sputnik Monroe into their Hall of Fame.
Well, they're inducting him into their Legends wing. They're not doing
Which
an
is
actual...
very good. I mean, yeah, they're not doing an actual induction, but... I mean, Sputnik Monroe, there's not enough time to go into it on this show, but Google him. He did a lot for race relations, for very strained race relations in wrestling, and just a wonderful man. And, yeah, Boris Malenko is going in this year, Stan Stasiak. Last year, Dr. Jerry Graham went in. They know what they're doing with that legacy wing. They really do.
They do indeed. In fact, if you really want to have a good read, Google Sputnik Monroe Day. That is an actual thing, and there is a very good reason for it, as Jason just alluded to. Sputnik definitely did a lot in professional wrestling to change the atmosphere and change the landscape as we know it. But yes, rare for Jason to say anything good about WWE, which was part of the reason I invited John on tonight, because normally you and Will are both so, how shall I put it, lackluster in your enthusiasm for WWE that I thought maybe John could help us bring a little balance to the equation tonight and see if somebody else is at least partially into WrestleMania.
I actually am, Steve. I believe it or not, WrestleMania weekend, this is like for, if wrestling had its own version, if we could call this like the Hanukkah version of wrestling holidays, this would be it. You got so much wrestling over the next several days, and the Mecca, the granddaddy of them all, which I still love as a nickname, by the way. I hate the fact they don't use that anymore. But I love that WrestleMania is Sunday, and for the first time in a long time, I can honestly say that the majority of the WrestleMania card, I am extremely excited and extremely ready for. I think there's a lot of little things that I'm really enjoying about this WrestleMania bill. We'll get into that in a little bit, but yes, I am actually somewhat very positive about what WWE is doing as it comes to WrestleMania this weekend.
The funny thing is, you said so much wrestling coming up. Well, it's not even that. It already began yesterday and today. Just in the last few hours alone, I got 2 reports from Aria Whitner which you can read right now in the Thursday night #2 just list of news items, because he sent me recaps for both the Matt Riddle Bloodsport show and the, what was the name of the other one? I can't even think of it right now off the top of my head. Oh, DNA 43. The DNA 43 Super Tag Team Tournament.
Oof. Well, I'll tell you this much, man. My buddy sent me a GIF file from Twitter of from that Bloodsport show for Game Changer Wrestling, the Matt Riddle show, of Chris Dickinson and Minoru Suzuki, who was a last-minute replacement. And just watching Dickinson in this little clip, it's like 5 or 10 seconds. I think it's under the handle of Total Divas apps, who do an amazing job with them GIF files. Dickinson just taking down Suzuki and just put a hurting on him. I go, that is I haven't seen something like that to kick off a weekend, a whole week of wrestling. Unbelievable. I mean, just unreal. And I can only imagine how that show's going to go. And it's a test for the remainder of the week with everything that's going on. I know Beyond Wrestling is tonight at 11:55. Obviously you got Ring of Honor NXT Saturday night. And my personal thing that I'm looking forward to watching, Joey Janela's Spring Break, Stevie J. I am, last year's I solely watched for Glacier. I am one of the biggest Glacier fans on the planet. The cryonic kick, from Glacier, for the most part, it was a knockout move, the KO, and it was my favorite growing up. So seeing Glacier last year, I could only imagine what the crew with Joey Janela Spring Break 2 is going to bring, especially with Janela versus, Great Sasuke.
Joey Janela is a good Twitter account to follow right now, because he is definitely amping up for the Spring Break show with his, shall we say, antics in New Orleans.
He indeed is, man. I've known, before he really broke out big, Joey Janela was working and striving his way up the ladder early on. And I've seen Joey Janela work National Wrestling Superstars for Gino Moore back in the day. He wrestled a few shows for BWO long time ago in the Jersey Independents. And seeing where he is now, I mean, he is different. And people say he's not a great wrestler. Joey Janela doesn't have to be. He's just insane on so many levels. And to see his success it should be, for a lot of independent wrestlers, a true story of you don't have to be the best catch-as-can specialist to make a name for yourself. And just the way he puts his body on the line, Janela is a true throwback to Brian Pillman in my mind, the loose cannon Brian Pillman.
Yeah, but that does concern me a little, the way he puts his body on the line. That's not necessarily a recipe for career longevity, and this is something that we have discussed many times on this show between Jason and I about Will Ospreay, and it's just the fact that he does such amazing moves, but he takes such a physical punishment that by his 30s, he's gonna be possibly in a wheelchair just the way he lays his body on the line.
You're telling the truth on that, man. Just seeing some of the things he does, it does scare a lot of wrestlers and fans of just seeing how much he's putting himself through. But if there's any recipe for success and watching someone still being able to move after the age of 30, Jeff Hardy is a great example of that. That man put his body through absolute hell in his early 20s and 30s, and he's still able to compete. And I know he just got a setback with the surgery. But Jeff Hardy could be the template for that. But Joey Janela, I think, is on a level of his own, and I hope he does stay as healthy as he can be. He has taken some brutal beatings. I mean, his thumb from that Sandig maneuver off the roof, which was unreal, and just everything that he's been through. I just will hope he stays healthy and he stays peace of mind. I am a huge proponent of Joey Janela and just enjoy what he's doing right now.
I don't know if I'm stealing Jason's thunder by saying this, so if I am, I apologize. He can chime in afterwards. But I actually view Jeff Hardy as a little more of a cautionary tale. The amount of drug problems that Jeff Hardy has had and the DUI that he just got into not that long ago, I kind of think that, Jeff has been able to continue to work into his 30s and on, and that's impressive, but there's clearly some amount of self-medication that he has taken for all the body of abuse that he has taken as well.
That was going to be one of my comments, was that, when you were saying that he says body has been through a lot of punishment, my first comment was going to be, in more ways than one, both in the ring and from substances that he's put into his body. And Will Ospreay was mentioned, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say, holy shit, that Spanish fly where Ospreay hit his head on the ring apron.
Oh, yeah.
Busted himself open in the match against Marty Scurll. Damn.
Oh.
That was sick.
I watched 205 Live this past Tuesday. It was the Buddy Murphy versus Kalisto battle that people are really raving about, just from how they built that match to where the 205 Live fans were going berserk, towards the end of that match. And the one thing that really scared me was when Kalisto took that suplex it looked like he was supposed to go on the apron. He hit the edge of it, and I thought he really messed himself up, really badly with the back injury. He got really lucky with that. And you make a phenomenal point about Jeff Hardy putting his body through more ways than one. There is a lot of, especially from, Jeff Hardy really being an innovator of that style and what he's put himself through. And you're 100% right, Mr. Sudoku. But, just seeing how everything's going through, it's more and more of a toll. Ospreay going through his stuff, Kalisto taking that move on 205 Live. Even though, as a fan of the sport, I love seeing what's going on. It really is, a tale of, these guys. I wish they would slow it down a little bit just to protect their bodies. But, if you're getting that rush and you see the way the industry has evolved, they're going to go all out. And I just want guys to be more, I just want to see more safety, like you said. But again, if they're going to go all out, I'm a fan of it. And I just, I think that's probably the only way I could really put it.
I have to say this because it fits into the conversation, but I'm not remembering who said it before me. So give credit where credit is due. If you Google this phrase, the wrestler or promoter who said the following: in the old days, we used to work safe with each other and the fans thought it was a work. Now we work snug with each other and the fans think it's fake.
I think that might be Jim Cornette, Stevie J.
That's probably him. It sounds like something Cornette would say. So, let's go through this WrestleMania 34 card with the obligatory groans from Jason for each and every match, except possibly two, and both of those featured Japanese superstars, so
There's one more that I won't groan for, too. There's one more I'm looking forward to. It's just unfortunately on the pre-show.
Alright, well that's actually where we're going to start, is with the pre-show, starting with the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. And I know Jason already has a beef about this.
Yeah, Jim Ross, yay.
Is it because you're sick of his commentary for New Japan on Access?
More or less, it's just one of those things. It's kind of like Ric Flair. He should have retired long ago, and the longer he goes, the more he's tarnishing the legacy of what he used to be.
But you would have to admit, even if you don't like his New Japan commentary, this is more suited to what Jim Ross does.
Yeah, we'll see how many names he gets wrong, how many move names he gets wrong.
I think there will be enough people in WWE that he knows and recognizes that he'll be okay, especially since he and Jerry the King Lawler are tag teaming for commentary on this.
And Lawler can't say puppies anymore. Damn.
Well, would you really want him to in 2018? That shtick's kind of old now.
I would not. Yeah. That was sarcasm.
Okay. So, it flew right over my head like a DC-747. So I'll go to John. What do you think about the Battle Royal this year?
I think the Battle Royal, on SmackDown they've done a little bit more of a build for it. On Monday Night Raw, not so much. But, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, I guess you can say, is the obligatory, everybody on the card is going to get a little piece of that WrestleMania payday. And I'm happy to see a lot of these guys in there and just getting an opportunity to wrestle in front of, the second time around in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, not the Silverdome, brother. But I'm actually very excited for it. There are a couple little stories if you're a hardcore fan studying for it. Baron Corbin and Mojo Rawley are in there, and they're looking to possibly Mojo's looking at two-peat as Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal winner, and Baron Corbin's looking to win it for the second time. There's a lot of different names in there. Dolph Ziggler is back, and he's in that particular match, and so many different people. Last year I made a bold prediction, which obviously wasn't going to come true. Victor of the Ascension was going to win it. I was wrong. I'm going to go again this year just as a gag and say Victor of the Ascension is going to win it. But overall, I think it's a toss-up. Anybody has a shot at this, and whoever wins, let's see how they build them off it, because you could either be a Baron Corbin or you could be a Mojo Rawley just by how they built off creatively from last time with the Andre the Giant Battle Royal.
That's my one comment, is that I wish it meant more. I mean, to me, Baron Corbin himself is still kind of a failed experiment. The only winner of the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal that I've seen has actually gotten something out of it is Cesaro.
Gentlemen,
That is indeed true.
I have a trivia question for you.
Okay.
There are only 3 wrestlers on the active roster who have been in all 5 Andre the Giant Battle Royals, including this year. Can you name one of them?
Who's like a perennial jobber that would be in this every year?
You're getting on the right track when you say that. You're warming up. I'm gonna
go with Goldust.
You are correct, sir. Goldust has been in all 5 of them. All right,
he
John.
Seems like the kind of guy that would be in it every year.
John,
he's one of those guys like Mark Henry that does whatever they tell him to do.
Exactly. The gauntlet has been laid down, John. Can you match him?
This is tough. I'm going to say Primo. For some reason, I think Primo's been in every single one. I'm probably wrong, but I'm going to say Primo.
No, you are wrong. He's only been in 3, including this year. The other 2 contenders were Fandango and Heath Slater.
Whoa.
Oh, really?
Yes, those are the only ones to be in all 5. Now, speaking of Battle Royals, we also have, for the first time ever, a WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal. John, your thoughts?
Seeing how everything has really transpired with this Women's Battle Royal, with the name change from the Fabulous Moolah to just the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal, to people I've seen online complain about the look of the trophy and all this other stuff. I'm just happy to continuously see the evolution of what women's wrestling can be, and this WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal. I think it's being built around one story, and I think the story is obvious if you watch Monday Night Raw. The continuing build between Sasha Banks and Bayley. It wouldn't shock me to see these 2 ladies as the final 2. I don't know who's going to win it, but I think this is going to be the inevitable beginning of the end, not only of their friendship, but the feud for the next several months to help bolster the Raw women's brand. I think this is just basically a setup to set more intrigue for the Bayley-Sasha Banks rivalry and disintegrating friendship. Just my opinion. I think it's going to come down to one of those 2 ladies to win it.
All right, before I go to Jason, here is the confirmed list of participants with just a few days to go. As mentioned, Sasha Banks and Bayley are both in it. We also have Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, Sarah Logan, Becky Lynch, Naomi and Natalya, Lana, Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, Mickie James, and Carmella. Jason, your thoughts?
My thoughts are kind of along the same lines. I was thinking this is more of an opportunity for Bayley to cement herself as a legitimate heel. This is where Bayley could really heel it up, could really bring some life to her character. Not that I give creative that much credit to actually pull the trigger on it, but this would be the place to do it, Bayley. This would be the place to get yourself over as a dastardly heel.
Yeah, they could do a perfect spot in the middle of this match where they make it look like the 2 of them are working together to eliminate people, and Sasha Banks is all happy about it, and then she turns her back for just a second and gets clotheslined over the ropes by Bayley. Perfect heel turn.
Indeed.
And she needs it. She badly needs a change of character.
I will say this, Stevie J, and, part of me, this Women's Battle Royal, I am actually, believe it or not, a big proponent of Sonya Deville, believe it or not. I actually am a big fan.
Oh, no.
I am actually a big fan of hers, and a lot of people I know said she might have been rushed up too soon or whatever it was from NXT and then the Performance Center, but I think if you give Sonya Deville another year, and maybe she gets a good showing due to the Absolution group, which is slowly but surely winning me over on Monday Night Raw, I think Sonya Deville is really going to get that build for the next year to really grow as a performer within the women's division. And I think she breaks out over the next year, and I hope she has a strong performance in the Battle Royal. I'm probably the only one in the world that thinks that, but I actually am a big proponent of Sonya Deville. I really am.
I could be more of a proponent of her if they weren't giving her a build as a mixed martial artist, because she's not Her moves are nothing like an MMA fighter's moves, and her tagline of "put your hair up or square up" is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
It's like tap or snap. Tap or snap.
And frankly, the fact that they've given that to Shayna Baszler, a legitimate MMA fighter, as her catchphrase is also dumb.
Oh, jeez. I haven't really, I'm not going to lie, I haven't paid 100% attention to a lot of NXT, a lot of wrestling to, watch, consume every week. But just hearing that is, yeah.
All right.
But, yeah, sorry.
That's okay. I got no reason to think you're wrong about Absolution being a vehicle for her to stardom. It's just right now she's not one to me. So I'm going to move on to Cedric Alexander versus Mustafa Ali. I have a feeling this is the pre-show match Jason was talking about.
Yeah, this is one that I'm excited for. I'm really sad that this is relegated to the pre-show. I'd much rather see like that U.S. title clusterfuck be on the pre-show and put this cruiserweight, the finale for the cruiserweight tournament to determine who gets the title. Put that on the main show where it deserves to be. Cedric Alexander and Mustafa Ali. Easily, this is going to be the match of the pre-show. This is going to burn the house down.
Well, that depends on how full the house is at the time.
Yeah, it depends if they have security issues and ticket-taking issues, and there's only, 1/4 of the crowd in their seats at the time. But again, one more reason that this deserves to be on the main show and not the pre-show, because it's going to be one of the matches of the night.
Hard to argue with you, and I really have gotten invested in Mustafa Ali, not just because of what he's done on television, but the interviews he's done outside of that, where he has really put over this idea that it's a brand new landscape. People can accept me as something other than a heel, even though my name would generally be the kind they would use for a villainous heel. I've just listened to his interviews and read what he's had to say about the evolution of a babyface and how he's so happy that he gets to be one, that even though I've always been a proponent of Cedric Alexander dating back to the Cruiserweight Classic, I'm kind of cheering for Ali now.
Oh, you have no idea, Stevie J. I'm about to go on a little bit of a rant because I'm actually looking forward to this match as well, and I think this match is basically the building of how the Cruiserweight division, in my opinion, should have been built after the Cruiserweight Classic. Those guys after the Cruiserweight Classic with TJP winning it all and winning the Cruiserweight title, it really started off extremely rough. TJP wasn't even on the first Raw. Building that division as champion, nonetheless, to build that up back in 2016. SmackDown, it looked all SmackDown was going to win the rights to the Cruiserweight division creatively, and it didn't work out as well because it stayed on Raw and it built some weird continuity things. And, Neville really took over that division, but there was no one that could even be on his level, the Neville level. Haha. And for a time period, the Cruiserweights really struggled. 2017 was a real big struggle.
Enzo was part of that struggle, that whole year of Enzo shit that we had to put up with.
Oh, man, you know what? I am not going to lie. I am probably going to be one of the rare guys. Look, if Enzo was the only true goofy guy on 205 Live, that would have worked. I think it would have fit because he would have been the little, pardon my language, shit heel that he was. And I think they went a little overboard character-wise with the save of Drew Gulak, which I just love that clean-shaven Drew Gulak campaign with the whole suit and stuff like that. I think everything else after that was a little much, but now we're back to basics with the Cruiserweight division. The induction of Drake Maverick as general manager, building that Cruiserweight tournament, kind of like that Cruiserweight Classic type vibe, where wrestling is the name of the game. You got it back here, and for it to be on the pre-show, I think it's actually a little bit of a positive, because you remember last year in the pre-show, you got that amazing Neville versus Austin Aries encounter, which opened WrestleMania on any sense of the word. And you're probably gonna have the same thing this year with Cedric Alexander, a guy who I've been a huge fan of since Ring of Honor, those days when he was being managed by Veda Scott, teaming up with Caprice Coleman, and Mustafa Ali, which Stevie J, you so eloquently put, seeing him in those WWE.com interview, talking about, his lifestyle and seeing what it, being Pakistani, how it doesn't just define him as a wrestling character. He's an individual just like everybody else. I think the Cruiserweight division's on the rise. Buddy Murphy, Kalisto, that really set the pace for people talking about the show. First time in a long time 205 Live's been discussed in that fashion. I think this is going to be the pinnacle of what you're going to see from 205 Live going forward, and I am absolutely stoked to see this contest. I think this is going to be a barn burner, and as much as I would love to say that Cedric Alexander was the odds-on favorite a few weeks ago, Stevie J, you put it best. Ali, I'm really getting behind this guy, and this is his first ever pay-per-view, first ever opportunity. Long story short, too long, didn't listen. This match is going to rock. Ali I think Ali's got the 054 to win this thing.
All right. Jason, do you think Ali's winning, or do you think it's Alexander?
It's a toss-up. I really can't pick them at this point. And yeah, the way that you were talking about the interview, I didn't see the interview, but yeah, just the way Mustafa Ali can fly, he can be whatever he wants to. He can be a face, he can be a heel, because that man's got some talent. And so does Cedric Alexander. No matter who wins, I'm going to be happy with the outcome, and we will have a cruiserweight champion that we can be happy with.
Amen to that. So we move on to the main card. There's so much here that I can't say for certain which, if any of these, is the main event, but I can say there's one match that they aren't even officially advertising, so let's get that one out of the way first. Undertaker and John Cena. They won't say it's happening. They won't even put it in the program other than question mark, but it's in the program. And most people think that something is going to happen on Sunday between the two of them. So let's get the pessimistic and let's get the optimistic view. I'll get the pessimistic one from Jason.
Well, at least they're not calling it an unsanctioned match. Johnny Gargano, hey, call out to you there. Yeah, we're definitely going to see Biker Taker, and it's going to be painful. And honestly, I would have more respect for John Cena if he was an entrant in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal.
Well, he said he wasn't going to take that spot from somebody who deserved it, so I guess that's our storyline going into Sunday. So, John, for the slightly more optimistic view, what do you think about this match that isn't an official match, but not an unsanctioned match either?
I think there won't be a match between John Cena and The Undertaker at WrestleMania 34 because there will be a match between John Cena and The Undertaker at WrestleMania 35. Call me an incredible optimist for long-term planning, but I'm going to go on a limb and make a prediction I don't think anybody's said anywhere. This is all a build, 1 year build to John Cena versus The Undertaker at MetLife Stadium in 1 year. I think there will be an Undertaker appearance. I think he will be the American Badass, but I think it won't be a match. I think there will be a little bit of a schmoz, a brawl, and I think there's just enough action on this show to where you don't necessarily need a 20-minute match between these two guys. I think you're going to start to see the build towards next year's WrestleMania, John Cena and The Undertaker, and it's all because the build starts at WrestleMania 34. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it. But that's my feeling on it.
If you think you're out on a limb, then I'm joining you on that branch, and I even have a saw in my hand because I'm willing to go down with it. So I like that idea. So we move from that to Charlotte Flair versus Asuka in a singles match for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Something Jason will be excited about. Yes,
this again could be match of the night. There's other matches that may hold a candle to it, but this definitely is going to be in the top 3 matches of the night. This I am definitely looking forward to, and nobody is ready for Asuka, and Asuka is going to make Charlotte Flair tap out. Or choke her out, one of the two.
Because to be the woman, you have to beat the woman.
Or they could just hire Red Shoes, and Red Shoes could just do a referee stoppage, because that seems to be all he's doing these days. We don't see that a lot in WWE. We don't see a lot of referee stoppages.
Hey,
I love Red Shoes.
If Asuka beat her into submission, and she couldn't even submit because she was too beat up, I would love to see that.
Especially at WrestleMania, that's even more impactful.
Mm-hmm. So, are we unanimous then that Asuka's winning? What do you say, John?
Now, this is where I'm this is where I'm confused because they're obviously throwing the red herring, like a pup named Scooby-Doo cartoon back in the day, the red herring of Carmella cashing in the Money in the Bank briefcase. I don't see that happening. I really don't. I think it's going to be a straight-up match between Asuka and Charlotte Flair. And if you notice how WWE does a lot of their creativity and the creative that they do, they really put a huge emphasis on the undefeated streak. So part of me is thinking as a hardcore fan, as cerebral, art and trying to study what's going on, part of me feels like Asuka, even though she won the Royal Rumble, will not win this contest. So it's a toss-up. I could see either way happening. I personally want to see Asuka win that title, and it would really bring prominence to the Women's Royal Rumble that the first winner of it automatically wins the championship to build that on that. But part of me feels like that Charlotte Flair pulls it out and makes Asuka tap. I just feel like that there's too much there. They've been putting the emphasis on the undefeated streak, in my opinion. And I think that they're leading people to think it's going to end.
All right. Well, gentlemen, we do have our special guest calling in right now. So we're going to put him on the line to talk about what happened today with Conor McGregor in Brooklyn, the one and only Peter H. from Glove Up or Shut Up.
What do you get when you piss off an Irishman? You get what happened today. Holy shit.
Yeah, but don't tease it. Tell everybody exactly what happened in all the gory detail.
Oh, God. If you want to do the whole story, basically, it all stems from an incident with Khabib's camp, basically cornering McGregor's teammate Lobov there. And basically, McGregor's boys were out for revenge today. And Conor and his boys crashed Conor crashed the press conference today for the show this weekend in Brooklyn. And then, him and his boys went down where the buses were to take the fighters back to the hotel, and they were rowdy and started throwing projectiles at the bus where Khabib was on. And there's a picture, there's actual video of it both inside and outside the bus where at one point Conor throws a dolly at the bus, shatters the window, and apparently that's when the glass flew into the forehead of Michael Chiesa, cutting him and sending him to the hospital to get looked at. He is still gonna fight, though.
All right, so he is medically cleared then, even though he had multiple lacerations from the glass.
Yes, Ray Borg also got some glass, but he did not go to the hospital. He was more stunned more than anything else. And
Rose was stunned too. Rose Namajunas was on the bus, and she was so freaked out she got off the bus and walked back to her hotel.
Yeah, because Rose needs more reason to be pissed off for her fight on Saturday.
Yeah, right? I know. She's already defending the title, and now this. Some people thought maybe she was going to pull out after this, but she said she's still good to go.
Well, Conor and his boys ran out of the Barclays Center to a waiting SUV and took them God knows where. And Dana White first said there was a warrant out for his arrest, but that was later debunked when the New York police said there's no warrant now, but, there's no further...
They said Conor is a person of interest that they would like to talk to.
And no one's pressed charges as of yet, but one of the UFC employees does have a broken knuckle because of the incident now, and Dana White cut a very good
vandalism charges for the bus and some of the cars around the bus that got damaged.
Yeah, absolutely. Dana White cut a hell of a promo afterwards. I believe I shared it on my Facebook, and it's all over the major news sites here. It's basically a little presser in one of the rooms there in the Barclays Center, and it's like 9 minutes long, and he's answering questions from reporters, and it's pretty ridiculous that at one point...
Hi, Chaos!
At one point, basically, he asked the reporters, would you want to work with him? Would you? And it's like, oh, that's awkward. I'm not sure what this means as far as what his future is in the UFC. Maybe he...
Dana also kind of hinted that Conor was on drugs, too. That was what I kind of caught, that reading between the lines of that Dana White ESPN promo.
Well, yeah, the ESPN promo did. I mean, cocaine is a hell of a drug, but I don't know if it was that. I just think I honestly think it's mental health issues, to be honest. I think he might be suffering from some type of mental health issue that's causing outbursts like this. I don't know if it's anger management. I don't know what it is, but this is not the way to do things. And I am looking at it from the perspective of what commission is going to license him for his next fight after this.
Yeah, that's what I said to Tuesday night producer C.W. Smith from the Wrestling Nerdcast. I said, if New York revokes his license to fight, do you think that Nevada and California aren't going to follow suit? He's going to have a hard time getting a license to fight anywhere.
But I think Dana White said his plane is grounded right now. So I'm not sure if that's BS as well, or if, I mean, obviously we're not going to see him at the show on Saturday, but, I mean, someone brought up the point, they're going to fire him. And it's like, well, that's not that easy, because, Bellator is going to snap him up in a second if that's the case.
Right. But definitely he screwed Artem Lobov out of a payday, because now Artem is off the card.
Yep. And Bruce Leroy, I don't know if he's going to get his show bonus or win bonus or what have you, but
he
he's
better
off
get
the card
something.
too.
He didn't do anything wrong. There's no reason to screw him.
No, absolutely. And to put that wrestling spin on this, it's sort of like what the WWE is doing with Neville, where they're basically just, sitting him on the sidelines till his contract runs out. That's an option they have.
All right. John, your thoughts real quick on this whole Conor thing.
First, Peter H., it's been a long time. Happy to hear from you, my friend.
Same to you.
You know what? It wouldn't shock me to see this whole thing play out to just get UFC people talking about UFC, because, UFC really has been lacking a little bit in quote unquote characters, and in a perfect world, you would just see like them just drawing up a controversy to see Conor get his ass kicked in the octagon, especially everything that's gone on with him and Mayweather rumors and all that stuff. But overall, if innocent bystanders are getting hurt and his plane's legitimately grounded, I kind of agree with Peter H. is saying. I kind of think that there's something going on upstairs with McGregor, and maybe something chemically enhanced with that. It's not good if this was not at all staged, where people love to say it's staged. I don't think that is. I think of it just hearing what happened. I think there's something going on upstairs with McGregor.
Jason, what do you say about this?
One question that I have is, McGregor still in physical possession of the lightweight championship?
Well,
physical possession? I think so.
They make multiple copies of that thing. He has one of them.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, if he could show up, at Bellator with the belt and throw it in the trash if we're going on this work angle.
No, they would not let him do that, because then WME IMG could sue the ever-loving shit out of Viacom.
Parent company versus parent company. Yeah, that was the one thing that I was thinking, that, before all this went down, they were saying that, the big controversy was the language Conor McGregor used when he said they're not going to strip them because they're do-nothing expletives.
Yes, a word that starts with C and it doesn't spell cat.
See you next Tuesday.
Yeah. That's part of the problem with Conor, is he's got so much money from that Mayweather fight, he thinks he's untouchable and he can say or do anything he wants. There are real-life consequences, though.
What's next? He's going to jump into oh, wait, he did that already.
Yeah. Coincidentally enough, Peter, this is a little tidbit just for you. At the same time this story was breaking today, I was interviewing AJ McKee for next week's Bellator show. And
there you go.
And I said, hey, you were at that show when Conor jumped the cage. What do you think of all this madness? And he's like, oh, it's just a bunch of girl drama. That's actually my quote for the interview next week. He says, never mind the girl drama, he's ready to fight Justin Lawrence, quote unquote.
There's one other tidbit from Dana White, though, this week, at today's, interview, because he talked to a lot of people today. CM Punk is pretty much confirmed for that Chicago show.
But they still haven't named his opponent.
Mike Jackson.
Oh, okay. Well.
So it's pretty much confirmed.
Yeah, that was what I predicted all along when I said they would have to find somebody at his level or below. So it wasn't going to be a rematch with Mickey Gall, because we already know how that went.
Yeah. No, they did that spoof on SmackDown the week later.
Exactly. So, anything else you want to touch on, Peter, before we let you go?
I'm looking forward to WrestleMania. I'm especially looking forward to Shayna Baszler and obviously Brock and Ronda, and I'm looking forward to the whole weekend in general. Hope you guys have fun too.
Yep, we will, and we're going to talk about the rest of the card right now, so be sure to listen to the rest of the show after we upload the replay.
All right, talk to you guys later. Bye.
All right, thanks, Peter. That's Peter H. from Glow Up or Shut Up right here on Thursday Night AMP. Getting back to the WrestleMania card, we now have another match from the main card to get into. Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I'll start with Jason. I know he's got issues with this.
Yeah, I've got issues. I'd like to see this whole thing play out where it's El Generico and Kevin Steen taking them on. And like I was saying last week, what I would really, really like to see here is for Daniel Bryan to turn on Shane McMahon, turn heel, join with Owens and Zayn, and say, you know what? It was guys like Shane McMahon who held me back, who, when I was medically cleared, wouldn't let me. It was, me. It was the threat of me going to New Japan that had them finally clear me to wrestle here in the WWE. Have him kind of do work shoot and go along those lines. That would be perfect, but it's WWE. That's not going to happen.
But your theory does have some credence with Mick Foley, because he said, not in those exact same words, but a very similar line of thought in an interview that I just put on the website, that he believes it's a possibility that Daniel Bryan could turn heel and that he'd be justified in doing so. So on that note, we go to John.
This is what I like to call a snafu as it comes to a difficult decision to make. Daniel Bryan coming out of this match, I'm so excited to see him back in the ring. You have no idea. I think him, when he was forced to leave for a couple years from wrestling, I really didn't watch. I really turned it off for a while. Did not watch. And seeing him come back and seeing the overall reaction to him coming back, it's a snafu for the fact that if they go in that direction that you guys are talking about a possible heel turn, I think the fans are going to crap all over it, and it's not really going to matter. And on the other end of things, they have themselves in a corner because Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, if they're fired, they kind of come back. And the obviously thing would to see Shane McMahon get his comeuppance in this contest. It's a weird snafu, and you're in the Superdome. It's where Daniel Bryan had his biggest moment ever of his career, winning the world title, the 2 belts over the shoulders, doing yes. It's a snafu. Fans don't want to see him lose or turn evil or anything like that in front of that crowd. They want to see him win. So it's a snafu for something that's been building for over 7 months on SmackDown.
That's the point of contention that I have, though. I think that Daniel Bryan, like I was saying last week, is one of those guys like RVD, where he could turn heel and the fans would eat it up. I mean, he attacked Shane and the fans would go nuts and they would love it. I mean, it's McMahon getting their ass beat by Daniel Bryan. The fans are going to love. Say he starts doing yes kicks to Shane McMahon, the fans are going to go, yes, yes, yes.
That's true. That is indeed true. It's a snafu. If it was me, I think Daniel Bryan should win that thing. I think he should get the victory for his team. But in the other end of things, that wouldn't shock me either. So let's see if they stay the course or they go in that direction, because they are in the Superdome and things have happened for them there. So.
Yes, and there's one angle to this that we haven't even discussed yet, which is Shane McMahon's real life medical issues. He really does have a hernia. He really does have diverticulitis, and he really can't afford to go very long without getting both of those problems medically addressed. He's postponed hernia surgery until after WrestleMania. That may or may not be a wise decision. But one other thing that has concerned a lot of people lately is that Shane McMahon may have just taken one too many bumps off of one too many high places, because, especially if you watch SmackDown this week, Shane seems to lose his place in promos and forget what the hell he was saying.
Oh, dude, I feel you on that. And I love Shane McMahon and every high risk he's done. And for everyone that gets on him, for only being in matches where he's taking the risk, for what he's doing, 2017 was crazy for this guy. From Survivor Series 2016, getting knocked out in the ring, surviving a helicopter crash, in the ocean, by God, taking the Hell in a Cell, madness off the cage, taking brutal beatings over the past several months. I mean, if anybody deserves, that time off, it'd be Shane McMahon, especially if they're coming back from 2016. But yeah, taking those injuries and those brutality does take a toll on the body. And similar to what we were talking about earlier, as it comes to well-being. Shane McMahon is also not a young cat. He's in his upper 40s. So I could only imagine how he's going to perform in the ring with what he has.
And that makes the twist of the whole thing being that the guy who was only just medically cleared is pretty clearly going to have to carry the load for his team.
That's indeed true.
All right. We move on to a triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship. The new father, Miz, congratulations to him and Maurice, defending his title against Seth Rollins and Finn Balor. So, John, you get to start with this one.
I think this is going to be all Miz. I think Miz needs this more than either man. I think you've seen basically everything you've seen on Raw the past several weeks with Seth Rollins and Finn Balor wrestling and all different connections of these guys in singles contests. I think you're going to see this is all Miz. Miz needs this victory. To me, he's the hottest star in the company. I think this is all Miz. I think Miz is going to retain the Intercontinental Championship.
Jason, what do you think?
You've got the Miz as champion, and then you've got him facing two guys that are too good for this belt. That's my feelings on it. I think many titles are going to change hands. This is one that could go either way, but I'm going to say Balor comes out with the title.
I honestly am leaning that way myself because ever since he lost the Universal title after winning it without being pinned and being forced to relinquish it due to injury, it feels like they've been waiting a long time to put him back up in the upper echelons. And the way to do that would be a big win at WrestleMania against a guy that most of the WWE universe finds to be a douchebag. Even if he's an entertaining douchebag, and even if we can all be honest and give him credit for being an incredible douchebag, I think that could propel Finn Balor back up, not all the way to where he was when he won the Universal title, but it would be a step in the right direction.
Is he going to be coming out as Demon Balor?
Let's hope. It is WrestleMania. It is Pyro and Ballyhoo. It's time for that.
That would be the stage is set, so maybe we'll get to see Demon Balor. I would give Demon Balor even better chances of walking away with the title.
Exactly. Literally, the stage is set because they are constructing it in the dome as we speak. So moving on, we go to the Usos versus the New Day versus the Bludgeon Brothers. And I just don't care, but I guess the Usos retain because fuck WWE, I don't know. John?
You know what? I gotta go Bludgeon Brothers here. You did on a very solid build, and just the little things like the intimidation factor that these teams have both displayed towards the Bludgeon Brothers. I think there's no way that they don't walk out as champions. As much as everyone loves Usos and New Day, those tag matches, which I do love. SmackDown's always been a place where tag team wrestling has taken a bit of prominence and has really stolen the show over the past several months. I mean, going all the way back to Heath Slater and Rhino really gelling as a team on SmackDown, and just seeing how SmackDown built them, and Clash of Champions this past year with the Usos, New Day, Rusev and Aiden English, and Benjamin and Gable. I think that you need some fresh blood. Say that 5 times fast. Fresh blood. I think the Bludgeon Brothers win it, and you see a lot of teams trying to they're going to chase the Bludgeon Brothers, who are downright going to be monsters. I think Harper and Rowan walk out as SmackDown Tag Team Champions.
See, this is the problem I have with it, and you just hit it. That's not fresh. The Bludgeon Brothers were the Wyatt family, and now they're just the Wyatt family in goofy costumes. And individually...
Fake mallets.
Yeah, individually, I like each of these guys. They are great performers, they are great wrestlers, but as this goofy Bludgeon Brothers tag team, they sound like they came out of a 1980s Nintendo game.
Oh, but here's the thing though, and you know, in WWE, like, if everyone's watched, you know, especially the old timey, you know, Vince McMahon, that certain things that he does love. He loves the outlandish, you know, larger than life type, goofy type characters, especially like the 80s types Powers of Pain And even though the mallets are they're so heavy that Charlotte and Becky Lynch took a picture with them, I digress. I think it's a fresh coat of paint on them because of the Wyatt family and the stock of Bray Wyatt going as far down as it has over the past year. I think for these two in particular, it's fresh. And believe it or not, unless I'm mistaken, I probably am, I don't think they've ever won the tag team championships. So maybe, get a team in there that hasn't won the belts, just trying something different. But you're going to get a great, encounter between the New Day and Usos. The New Day, I still love them. They're so entertaining. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun, but I think the Bludgeon Brothers pull it out. Just my personal preference.
Honestly, and before I go to Jason on this, if I was going to see a new team enter the mix and be crowned champions, I would want it to be Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin. But Jason, your thoughts?
Yes. Exactly what you just said there. What I was going to say is I really miss the days back in the 80s when the NWA had both world and U.S. tag team titles, when the division was that deep and there were enough good tag teams to not only hold those belts, to have good, interesting feuds going on for those belts. That is not what is going on here. And yes, we have seen the Usos and the New Day fight just ad infinitum, and it's just boring at this point. And adding the Bludgeon Brothers to the mix doesn't do anything to make that more exciting. This is the match where you just hope there is a quantum singularity that develops in the center of the ring and just sucks them all into that black hole and makes it so I don't have to watch it. But I will say the Usos retain.
Yeah, I was looking for that singularity when Duke and Kansas went to multiple overtimes, and it just didn't happen. I was getting so mad. And it's my own hometown, too, and I'm like, I want this arena to disappear beneath the earth. Can't both of these teams just go away? Anyway, speaking of tag team divisions, let's go to Cesaro and Sheamus, because we don't just set the bar, we are the bar. But now they have to deal with Braun and question marks? Who is his partner going to be? John, you get to speculate.
Everyone's heard the rumors. You've heard Rey Mysterio. We've heard Elias. For some reason, and I don't know why I'm thinking this, I honestly feel like Braun Strowman, seeing all the outlandish outside the box things he's done over the past 12 months, it would not shock me to see him win the tag team championships by himself. In my heart of hearts, I would love to see somebody come out, like a Mysterio, come out and team with them for that big little dynamic because of the success of Braun Strowman and Alexa Bliss and a weird twist of fate. But I just, for some reason, because Braun Strowman's a Vince McMahon project, and they want to keep Braun strong as anything. I see Braun Strowman single-handedly winning the tag team championships. And I know it's not good for tag team wrestling, as we just talked about with the previous thing. I don't know why. I just see Braun Strowman defending the belts by himself.
I don't think that can happen, though. I think Kurt said you have to have a partner or you don't get the match.
Oh, gee. I didn't. Okay, then. So, with that said, I think someone mentioned, I did read somewhere, and Neville came up earlier in this. It would not shock me to see Neville in that case. If he has to have a partner, Neville, to come back and be his partner.
Well, that would solve one of the problems that Neville complained about when he walked away, was that he had a great match on the WrestleMania card last year, and he wasn't on the DVD, so he didn't get any royalties for it.
That is indeed, yes, I do remember that story. But wasn't that debunked by Austin Aries? Because I thought I was listening to the thing that Chris Jericho, I think he might have debunked that, but who knows, maybe he was saving face. Regardless of which, Neville was the king of the cruiserweights, legitimately. Nobody was on that level. And, there's times, especially you look at New Japan Pro Wrestling, and, I'm not really the biggest New Japan guy, but there are certain guys that elevate themselves to the heavyweight division. And Neville did start as a heavyweight when there was no cruiserweight division. So I think it would just make sense for Neville to go back up. He's too good to just stick on 205 Live, no matter how good it's getting right now. He's too good to be in that division. He needs to be a heavyweight. He's like a Rey Mysterio of this generation. That's just my feeling. I think maybe you get Braun Strowman and him back in there as a tag team partner, or get the biggest crowd pop of the night. No one would see it coming. And plus, you just see Neville going out there. So if Braun's gonna have a partner, I'm gonna choose Neville. I'll be that guy.
All right. I'm gonna just say, actually, I'm not gonna say. I'm gonna go to Jason, and then I'm gonna say, Jason, who do you think?
I think we're all ignoring the very obvious. I'm going to say his mystery partner is going to be a returning from the lake of reincarnation Bray Wyatt.
Would he be Husky Harris, though?
Oh, man.
Or he could be like short-bearded Bray Wyatt, like when Bray Wyatt first debuted. He could be like less grungy Bray Wyatt. But I mean, you've got the other half of the Wyatt family back together. Why not reunite this half? What else does Bray Wyatt have to do at WrestleMania other than the Battle Royal if they put him in it?
Yeah, that's probably where I was going to expect him to show up. So, I just don't know. I feel like we've talked about the obvious examples to the degree that I feel like I gotta go with something completely out of left field that I don't see this happening. I don't expect it to happen, but let's just throw something completely out of thin air. Ty Dillinger, since they're really not doing anything with him.
Damn. That is out of left field.
Did you guys hear the rumor? I heard it was somewhere that I think I read it somewhere that someone even actually said, for one night only, bring back James Ellsworth to team with Braun Strowman.
I did see that rumor. I did hear that rumor. I give it no credence at all. They would not have released him if they thought there was anything else they could do with him. They took that train as far as it could go.
Oh, they absolutely did. And I think he, on an unrelated side note, I think James Ellsworth, one of the main reasons why Carmella is such a diverse character on SmackDown, even though she hasn't been treated as such as a character, I think James Ellsworth really helped Carmella's progression as a performer. So, just my preference on that.
Oh yeah, not gonna argue with that sentiment one bit. I'm gonna move on to Randy Orton versus Bobby Roode versus Jinder Mahal versus Rusev Day. Yes, John, you go first.
I got 2 words for this. Rusev Day. There's going to be an 80,000 fans in attendance, or whatever WWE lists as the paid attendance. That you're just going to hear yes, 2014. You've heard the yes chants in that building. You're going to hear Rusev Day all night long, and I think at this point, with the stories that have come out about Rusev, I think you got to go in that direction. He is just so hot and so organic as a character and performer. Rusev is the guy. Aiden English is tremendous as his sidekick. I think if Randy Orton doesn't come out as U.S. champion from WrestleMania, Rusev will be the one to become United States champion for the 3rd time.
I really like the idea, and I really think it's the right decision, which is why I have to go to Jason right now, because we tend to think that whenever we both agree something just has to happen because it makes perfect sense, WWE will tend to do the opposite.
Yeah, I will break that trend here, because this is a match that belongs on the pre-show. And with the rumors of Rusev wanting his release, all I could think of was, damn, I would really like to see Rusev take on Tomohiro Ishii. That would be one hell of a stiff match.
Oh, yeah.
For me,
versus
and speaking of, tying this back to New Japan, I really see Gato booking going on, and I see them just slapping that title back on Bobby Roode here in one of those moments of why did they put it on Randy Orton in the first place?
Yeah, that's possible too. Okay, we move on to Alexa Bliss versus Nia Jax for the Raw Women's Championship. Jason.
This is one where I see so many titles changing hands. This is one where I actually think, by hook or by crook, Alexa Bliss is going to retain. This is where Carmella is going to cash in, win the title, and then Nia Jax is just going to lay her out after that.
That sounds like a good plan. I'm totally down with that.
That's how I'm booking this match anyway.
John, what do you say?
I'm going to 3 that. That's actually... I honestly, if I was doing it from just a straight one-on-one thing, realistically, I would go Nia Jax 3 minutes. But I actually like that. I think people have been clamoring for a brand switch from Carmella anyway. And it's in SmackDown. If Asuka does win the SmackDown Women's title, need another woman on Monday Night Raw to take that spot. Carmella could fill that very well. That is tremendous.
All right. It's Universal. So speaking of Universal, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. John, you start.
You know, if this match closes out the show, for Roman Reigns' fourth straight main event, at the end of a WrestleMania, because as CM Punk has said, there's only one main event, and it's the last match. There's a lot of people and a lot of clamoring. The reports have read Brock Lesnar's going back to UFC. Dana White made allude to that. I, for some reason, and maybe it's just me, and everyone's thinking Roman Reigns is going to win it. There's some part of me that Brock Lesnar retains the Universal Championship at WrestleMania. And I know it's ludicrous because the belt's staying on a quote-unquote part-timer, and the championship won't be around, and everyone wants Roman's coronation to happen. For some reason, I just feel like Brock, with the schedule and the money that he's been making off this deal, he'd be foolish not to come back for another contract. And this one is it's just so weird because everyone's leading towards Roman Reigns to where I think Brock Lesnar's coming back. And I think he'll do the same thing if he does come back and he does retain, which I deep down believe is going to happen. I think Brock Lesnar's going to get another UFC deal, another opportunity to fight for UFC under WWE contract. And ultimately Lesnar retains the Universal title, but realistically and honestly, Roman Reigns is going to win. I'm just trying to make it sound better for myself. Roman wins, but I deep down think Brock's going to retain. It's frustrating, Stevie J, you know?
Well, here's my 2 cents on it for what it's worth. Brock Lesnar winning would actually be a swerve because, as you've already said, they're hinting that he's going back to UFC. But the truth is far deeper than that because Brock Lesnar is still under suspension. Brock Lesnar has not even re-entered the USADA testing pool. Brock Lesnar would not realistically be able to take a fight until 2019 at the earliest, and the clock's ticking, and the man is not a spring chicken. I think you're right that it's in his best interest to return to WWE. However, that doesn't mean he's retaining the title, because if I know one thing about Vince McMahon, it's that he has a fetish for Roman Reigns. He loves his look, he loves his size, he loves his athleticism, he thinks he's got the next Rock in the palm of his hand, and he's going to keep trying to coronate him as the man every single year at WrestleMania until it either works or he gives up entirely. And he hasn't given up yet, so Roman Reigns wins again. Jason.
Fuck those owls, you both suck. Fuck those owls, you both suck. That's my feelings on the match. Roman Reigns is going to get his coronation, and if they do put this match last, it'll be just like it has been in years past, where fans head for the exits and watch this match on the network on their cell phones on their way to their cars to beat the trappic.
See, I didn't have to do that in Dallas because I was parked close enough to the building that I didn't have to beat traffic.
Oh, jeez. But you know the one thing here, and maybe I'll bring it back a little bit. And look, Roman Reigns is a tremendous wrestler. I think there's no doubt about it. He's a unique look about him. I've always wished Roman Reigns would be that silent but violent badass. That's always the way I've always thought he should have been. But the way they've been using him and the character in and outs, in betweens of what Roman Reigns has been to WWE television, honestly, and you know, for a lot of WrestleCraft fans out there, and Stevie J, I know you're one of them. This is like the Lex Express, and it's just unlike Vince McMahon believing in the Lex Express, you know, and you know, canceling it in '94. You know, this Lex Express has kept going for 5 straight years, and it's just like there's something missing with Roman Reigns. There's something missing, and I don't know if it's the inconsistencies of his storytelling with him, or you know, just the different character arcs he's just gone through, where it's whiny Roman or it's badass Roman. It's like how John Cena was, but the difference was John Cena had immense charisma to overcome it, and where Roman Reigns necessarily isn't the greatest talker, or, you know, his look doesn't define who he is as a performer in the ring. And I might be looking too much into it, but this is the Lex Express, and it's been rolling on for 4 years all over the United States, and somehow it gets overseas in that bus too. I don't know.
Supper and succotash.
Tater tots, my friend.
And yes, that was a good time to bust out the WrestleCrap reference because, as you may or may not remember, Jason actually wrote one of the WrestleCrap promos for Angry Marks.
That is awesome.
That I did. I wrote the Jeff Foxworthy WrestleCrap ad. That was me.
Wait, that was you?
Yeah.
That was me.
Awesome. I remember, unrelated to any of this, I just recently got that, a while ago, I got the WrestleCrap, radio archive, because I got the exclusive for the website, and I went and downloaded a lot of the previous episodes, and just hearing RD go, I gotta get into that Jeff Foxworthy voice again, and just impersonation stuff. Unreal, man. That is awesome. And I'm happy they're back doing, more shows consistency. I love Blade and RD. They are tremendous.
Yes.
Even when he's impersonating Mr. Rogers.
Oh, I listened to that episode. That was something else.
Fools!
I really like the Damien Demento April Fool's one. That's my favorite by far of their April Fool's episodes.
Yeah, that's definitely it. Okay.
Or the Coco Beware, the Coco Beware episode from 2009. I love that too.
Before we turn it into the WCR Memories show, we got to get back to this card because we got 2 matches left to go. I'm going to start with Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey versus Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. John, what do you say?
I think there's one option. I don't think there's any way Ronda Rousey loses this match. My interest is Kurt Angle. I just want to see it. He's performed in a couple matches, in 2017 that, impromptu, basically a few days out, impromptu 5-on-3 match with the Shield. And I know he's done a couple matches and, the Survivor Series match. I want to see how he comes off. He looked a little stiff, when he performed those 2 matches. Maybe he's in better shape. Maybe he's going to be more loose in there. It's been a while for Kurt Angle. I want to see how he performs. Ronda Rousey, I honestly hope she, goes and everyone wants to see Stephanie get her comeuppance tenfold, maybe a broken arm with a submission. But I want to see how Kurt Angle performs in there. I think that's the litmus test for me. I want to see how he does. And if he still looks as rigid and stiff as he did in 2017, just from a, watching him perform perspective. I think the match prediction is obvious. I just want to see how Kurt Angle does.
I'm more concerned with how Ronda does because she, speaking of people looking stiff, she doesn't seem very natural for a woman who actually does have a lot of personality and a lot of charisma. There are a lot of times, especially in interviews leading up to WrestleMania, where she has looked incredibly stiff. And I'm waiting to see her just bust out into her natural rowdy Ronda Rousey self. And she better do it at WrestleMania because there's no other time, no other place. And if she doesn't turn it on, this is going to go over like a lead balloon. Jason.
Oh, you mean we're not going to get to see Stephanie put Ronda through another table? Isn't the whole point of bringing Ronda into WWE to get Stephanie moreover?
Well, there are some people who give credence to that theory.
Yeah, I hope they win, but in all honesty, adding Kurt Angle and Triple H to this just waters it down. I'd rather see Ronda Rousey versus Stephanie McMahon one-on-one. And I really don't want to see Triple H in there. I really don't want to see Kurt Angle in there.
I think the problem with that is if it was legitimately Ronda versus Stephanie one-on-one, it would be over in 30 seconds. You need the guys in there for the Gaga to draw it out longer.
Oh, just have Ronda play cat and mouse with her. Have her draw it out. It's like
there's only
use strikes. Don't put the submission on until Stephanie McMahon is good and knocked out.
I don't think there's enough cat and mouse you can play with Ronda and Stephanie to be believable for more than a minute. And they're going to need like 10 or 15 minutes for this match. I'm not kidding. It's probably going to go that long.
Good. Why?
But then, I'm saving the best for last. Even if it doesn't go last, it's the one I'm booking to go last because I know these two can perform. We've seen them do it before. And if they gave them a half hour, every minute of it from start to end would be 5 fucking stars. AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura. Jason, you get to go first.
All right, and I'm going to counter something that was said earlier, where it was said that there's only one main event, and that's what goes on last. That's a bunch of horse hockey. Let me tell you what, the last 3 years at Wrestle Kingdom, the semi-main event, the match that has gone on second to last, has been the better of the two matches of that in the main event. Wrestle Kingdom 10 was no exception. The semi-main event in Wrestle Kingdom 10 was this exact matchup, AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura, in what can only be described as beautiful murder. These two went at each other, nearly took each other's heads off. I mean, heck, it started before the match with AJ Styles pointing his fingers like a gun at Nakamura and Nakamura eating the bullet. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see anything close to that, but this hopefully will be match of the night. Hopefully they will still put on a show that maybe comes 75% of what their Wrestle Kingdom 10 match was. But I'm looking forward to this being match of the night, and I see Shinsuke Nakamura walking out with the WWE Championship.
Absolutely. 100% agree with everything you just said, so I'm going to John.
You know, I had an epiphany about AJ Styles at Clash of Champions. I watched that whole pay-per-view, first time I've watched a pay-per-view in a long time. And AJ Styles and Jinder Mahal. And watching that match, I got the epiphany that AJ Styles is truly the Bret Hart of this generation, just by how good he is. And that's always been understated, because I know there's a lot of people who picture AJ Styles and will always remember him, you know, from old school fans of the X Division. Other guys see the Bullet Club stuff he did as old school AJ Styles. Me, I love AJ Styles and I love Shinsuke Nakamura. That match you guys were talking about, indeed true 100%, Jason. You were on the money with that description of that matchup from a long time ago, Nakamura from Wrestle Kingdom. And AJ and Nakamura are going to steal the show. They're going to go every minute that they're allowed, and they're going to make every minute worth it. They call it a dream match. They didn't touch at all in the build-up for this match, and it was very minimal. I love it. I think AJ and Nakamura are going to steal the show, and Mr. Meltzer, get the star ratings ready. It will be a 5-star match. It's a dream match, and it's going to be 5 stars.
All right, gentlemen, we are running low on time, so I'm going to go for some really quick predictions on NXT TakeOver, starting with the NXT North American Championship match, ladder match for the inaugural title. Adam Cole, EC3, Killian Dane, Lars Sullivan, Ricochet, and Velveteen Dream. Pick one of those 6, John. Who gets the belt?
EC3.
I agree. Jason.
It is a clean sweep, EC3.
All right. We got Undisputed Era versus the Authors of Pain versus Roderick Strong and Pete Dunne in a triple threat for the NXT Tag Team titles and the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic trophy. Jason, who wins?
I'd like to say the Undisputed Era, but I see the Authors of Pain retaining, or taking the titles, excuse me. I'd like to see the Undisputed Era retain, but I think they're just so big on the Authors of Pain, they're gonna take the titles here.
I'm gonna go with the dark horse in this match. I'm actually gonna say Roderick Strong and Pete Dunne. John, what do you say?
Stevie J, we agree. The 1-2-3 Kid and Bob Sparkplug Holly of this generation. Pete Dunne and Roderick Strong, they weren't even in this thing. They're going to win it. They weren't even in this thing originally. They're going to win it now.
All right. Ember Moon defending against Shayna Baszler with the NXT Women's title. Shayna is going to whoop that ass. John, what do you say?
I agree, and I remember Ember Moon from the days of WSU. There's just something missing with her right now. There always has been. In NXT, she's just missing that certain intangible. I think Shayna Baszler whoops that ass like you just stated.
All right, Jason?
Not only does Shayna Baszler win the title, but Ember Moon shows up the next night in the Women's Battle Royal.
Very, very, very good possibility of that. We have a title defense for Andre Cien Almas versus Aleister Black. Jason?
Oh, shit. This is another one where it's kind of like the Cruiserweight title, where it's like, I don't care who wins. This is going to be a fantastic match, but I see Andrade retaining.
I think so, too. I think Aleister doesn't need the title. He's over enough without it. John?
Paint it black. It's going to be Aleister Black. I think they've done a tremendous job building this guy up on NXT, from what I have watched and what I have heard. Black wins it.
I wouldn't mind either way, like Jason said. Last but not least, the quote-unquote unsanctioned match, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa. If Gargano wins, he's reinstated. If Ciampa wins, Gargano will be banned forever. For that reason, I think Ciampa wins and Gargano goes to the main roster. John?
I think Gargano wins, and he becomes NXT champion within the next 6 months.
That works for me too, either way. Jason, you get to split the difference.
I'm gonna start the way you did, saying that Ciampa wins, Gargano goes to SmackDown, but Ciampa follows him and the feud continues there.
Ooh, okay.
Ooh.
So we've got 3 different predictions on it. They're all interesting. I like all 3 ideas. So let's get some cheap plugs in. John, I know you've got a wave that we've got to ride into the sunset here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Stevie J, for having me on tonight. This is indeed a lot of fun. ProjectDiverge.com. Operation New Wave is running April 21st, 2018. Operation New Wave, it's a tournament to determine the forefront of the New Wave. The 8 participants include Tim Hughes, Too Hot Steve Scott, the magnificent Giovanni Maranca, Darius Carter, Ricky Richards, Vince Steele, Tom O'Malley, and Sizzling Stan Styles. This is 8 different styles, 8 different artists who will be at the forefront of the New Wave. Tickets on sale now. ProjectDiverge.com. This has been a side project for me that I've been looking to put together for a long time, and I'm able to do it now. And it's going to be in Old Bridge, New Jersey, at the Old Bridge Elks, 67 Old Amboy Road, Old Bridge, New Jersey, minutes off the Garden State Parkway and Route 9. So it's going to be a great show. We're going to release the brackets tomorrow night on ProjectDiverge.com. So there's a little bit of a plug right there. So Stevie J, thank you so much for allowing me back on to the Angry Marks podcast. It's been a pleasure. And Jason, nice meeting you, my man.
Good to talk with you here.
Absolutely. Thanks, John. And I have a prediction for the tournament. I don't know that this is going to go this way, but I have to root for him anyway since he's a former guest of our show and a good friend of mine on Twitter. Mr. Darius Carter, I think, takes the tournament.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I'll tell you, Darius Carter, I've known him for a long time. I've seen him break in. And Darius Carter, for the first time in a long time, showed a sympathetic side to him that I've never seen before with these. So I think Darius Carter is going to do something interesting at Project Diverge. I just really, really hope that everything turns out well. And if Darius Carter wins, Stevie J called it, ladies and gentlemen.
We'll just find out on April 21st. But thanks again, John.
Thank you.
All right. Jason, what are your cheap plugs as we wrap it up?
All right, cheap plugs number 1 is for ROH Supercard of Honor. Definitely buy that, pirate that, but whatever you do, watch that Saturday night. That's going to be a fantastic show with that Bullet Club storyline continuing. Along those lines with Bullet Club NJPW World, the best 999 yen you can spend a month. There's a Lionsgate show coming up Tuesday if you want to see Son of Red Shoes and the guy who looks like Son of Tai Chi and 45-year-old Young Lion. You know, definitely check out New Japan World. And we talked about it earlier, where I will plug WrestleCraft Radio. They just came out with their April Fool's episode, so definitely give them a listen. It's a funny show.
All right. New Japan World, as always, best 199 yen you can spend, less than $10. Please go get a subscription to that. Watch Sakura Genesis. Watch all the upcoming stuff on New Japan World. You will not be disappointed. And be sure to check us out every week, Thursday night, AMP. Every 7 days, we bring you another show. So join us next week, where we get to catch up on William Huckabee's adventures and get the fallout from WrestleMania weekend, including TakeOver, Supercard of Honor, WrestleMania, and everything else that went on that we just didn't have time for tonight. I'm sorry, there's just too much going on. That's why you gotta go to AngryMarks.com to keep up with all our coverage there. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you again next week. Bye-bye!